We're back at it again with another Battlefront update. With one more week left now in February, we're really starting to get closer to not only finding out all the big key details on the upcoming original Trilogy game update, but as well even playing it too, as the update is set to drop next week. With that said, we already got some pretty interesting teases and hints from DICE on what we should expect to see in that update, including the number of available co-op maps and potentially what could be a big Scarif reveal. In addition to that, we'll also be recapping several news stories that happened this week, such as Leia's rework, and even DICE low-key fixing that dreaded Darth Vader bug. As always, we'll be covering all of this and more in today's video. And before we get into any of that, but a quick reminder, as if you do like these type of videos, then do remember to give it a like to show your support for not only this update series, but also the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting things out, we'll quickly go over the recent update concerning the Darth Vader bug, which for those who don't know, in last week's patch, DICE by mistake gave him an increase, rather than an intended decrease to his damage reduction during Force Choke. And that mishap, I'd say, was the first big blunder DICE had in 2020. As for the fix, we were told that there would not be an emergency patch deployed, and we'd have to wait until the February original Trilogy game update for a fix to be addressed for this, because apparently a server backend fix wasn't possible. However, with that said, DICE then came out this week to backpedal on that last statement, and actually announced they've managed to fix the Vader bug through the backend, which is interesting. I suspect they originally didn't know it was possible to do, hence why at first telling us that. Or this is more of a band-aid solution to hold us over until the real fix comes in the next update. Either way, interesting turn of events, sure, but this is good news nonetheless. Moving on into the world of instant action, but for those of you who do miss the days of instant action on the original Battlefront games where you were able to not only have your AI teammates follow you at will, but also give them certain commands like stay and guard at this command post, attack here, and so on. If so, then you'll like what I have to say next. Because when the topic of implementing bot commands in Battlefront 2 was brought up, Live Service Director Manuel Lanes gave a pretty positive response to this, saying, "We like the idea for sure, we just need to convince the auto players to accept us humans as their leaders though, so no promises." And as we can see, his reply is very tongue-in-cheek but promising nonetheless, especially with that smiley face at the end, which is definitely something DICE devs don't do for requests that are impossible or unlikely to ever come. Next, we're gonna move forward to some of the drops of teases and hints from DICE for things we could likely be getting real soon. First, on the topic of skins, when asked about the possibility of new villain skins coming out, Community Manager Ben Walke replied with an upside-down smile, which falls in line with his usual style of teasing us for upcoming content. And as I reported on the video in January, based on everything we've heard and had been hinted towards so far, it's increasingly likely that one of these new villain skins could be Palpatine's appearance from The Rise of Skywalker. Which would make sense, since DICE didn't want to include it during the movie's theatrical release in order to avoid spoilers, but seeing now that Rise of Skywalker is already coming out on DVD next month, then now is a good enough time as any to release it. Now, as for whether these new villain skins will be released during the February game update or in March, still remains to be seen. Either way, chances are looking pretty good on the villains finally getting some much needed new skins soon. On the topic of upcoming content, Ben did reveal that the next community transmission is set to drop next week. Now, considering this will be the last community transmission for February, then it's safe to say it's gonna be jam-packed with everything we need to know regarding the start of the Battlefront 2 original Trilogy season. By this, I mean we're gonna be finding out what co-op maps will be getting released for the original Trilogy, as well even what the new reinforcements will be. At this point, we've already got teased a bit for what some of the likely co-op maps and reinforcements could be. But at the end of the day, nothing is official until DICE confirms it, and plans constantly change within game development. Personally, I can still definitely see us getting an ISB agent for the Imperial reinforcement, but at the same time, I'm a little unconvinced if DICE will actually go through with giving us Ewok reinforcements for the Rebels. I mean, imagine seeing little Ewoks running around the Death Star 2 map, that would be pretty weird. Then again, we do see Sith troopers running around in Battlefront 2 with the First Order troops on the MC-85 outside of Exegol, which is also equally just as weird, so hey, anything is possible. Regarding heroes, if we're getting them for the original trilogy, then we could find out about that in this community transmission too. But most likely I can see them coming out in March. Kind of like how BB-8 and BB-9E were revealed in December but released in the following game update after that. And to be honest, I'm still not certain if we're actually gonna be getting any new original trilogy heroes. And if we do, then I can't see them not being Orson Krennic or Jyn Erso. So if we do get them, then I'll be pleasantly surprised for sure. As for co-op maps, we've got an idea of a rough map count we should be expecting to get. As been revealed, there will be more than 4 original trilogy co-op maps coming, so basically 5 at minimum. And based on what we know and the co-op map leaks, 4 of these 5 maps should be Death Star 2 and Scarif, which are confirmed, and then Yavin 4 with Tatooine as the leaked maps. Along with this, I could see either Endor or Hoth making up the 5th map, if that is to say we are only getting 5 maps total and nothing more. I feel Ben phrased it this way because we may likely be getting 4 co-op maps this month, and then Scarif coming in March, making that the 5th map. Then again, maybe not, as according to this recent comment by Ben, it would seem to imply that Scarif could actually arrive in co-op mode next week. Which, when we think about it, wouldn't entirely be out of the ordinary for DICE to do, as Agent Clause for the sequel era also was released as a co-op map first a month earlier than its Supremacy version. So if that's the case here, we could potentially already be playing on Scarif next week in co-op, which itself is an exciting prospect. However, do keep in mind that this isn't official confirmation, but more of me attempting to figure out his riddle here, as we all know how much Ben loves teasing us with new stuff using riddles. And speaking about Scarif, Ben also gave us a tease on whether we could be seeing Shore Trooper skins added into multiplayer. And based on his response here, it would seem that potentially yes, they are coming, but not now, rather next month in March. Following that, Ben also divulged one of the bug fixes that will be included in the upcoming game update, which will see the bug that caused melee attacks to cancel hero skills to finally be fixed. An incredibly annoying bug to have in co-op mode for sure too, especially with how much the bots now melee you after the last patch. So yeah, great to hear this is getting fixed. Along with that, Ben as well confirmed that the highly anticipated Leia rework that Guillaume had been working on and teasing us about will be included in next week's game update as well. And that right there is absolutely smashing news for all the Leia mains who've been patiently waiting for this rework to come out. In addition to that, in case anyone was wondering, it should be noted the rework will be multiplayer only, as the Leia rework changes will not be applied to her in the single player campaign. Lastly, some important news for the Battlefront community itself, but Ben Walke announced on Thursday that he'll be officially stepping down as community manager for Battlefront 2. Earlier today, he posted a goodbye note for the whole community, reminiscing on how much he's been through with the game the last few years and thanked everyone for being involved as a whole. As stated in his note, Ben will be moving into a producer role at DICE, which means he'll actually have a say on what can and can't be added into Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5 for future content. Or maybe even have something to do on a possible Battlefront 3, considering he knows exactly what the community wants. With that said, Ben will still be around in his community position for the next few weeks until a replacement is hired. So for sure to expect to hear about next week's community transmission from him, along with, who knows, more hints and teases for content to come out later on too. All in all, Ben was a fantastic community manager for the game, and really, it's yet to be seen if things will stay the same with whoever does come to replace him. Could be maybe better or worse, we don't know. After all, it was Ben's idea to provide us better communication with the frequent community transmissions and all of that. When he did get the job to be community manager for Battlefront 2, everything really did improve tenfold thanks to his hard work. And he was a big step up over the last community manager we had before. So hopefully and ideally whoever does replace him is just as good and won't be afraid, to tease us about new content every now and then, just like Ben did. But that'll do it for this Battlefront update. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.